Hi everyone, welcome back to this series of PMP practice questions, in particular questions from the PMBOK Guide's 7th edition, the absolute latest edition of the PMBOK Guide, the project management body of knowledge. So this means these are going to be really good, very relevant for today's environment as well. A little bit of agile or a bit more agile you will see in here as well. And we've got 10 questions that are scenario based, quite tricky, just like you'll find on the real PMP exam. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun, so let's get into the first question. You're working on a project where you discover a certain negative risk with a potential impact of $2 million. Okay, negative risk, impact, that's good to know. You meet with your project stakeholders who determine that this is within their risk appetite, provided that you meet a risk threshold of 10%. Interesting. What will you do next? Okay, risk threshold. I'm pretty sure this is the threshold around the impact. So if we've got $2 million, so we've got 2 million and we want a risk threshold of 10%. So they're happy with it, they're fine with that, but it still has to meet within 10%, which is an extra 200,000 here, or minus 2,000, which would be 1.8 million, I think. So plus or minus 200,000, which is 10% of 2 million. I think that's what we're going to go with here. Let's see what options we have. Note the acceptable risk level as a threat of $200,000, which is 10%. Tricky, but I don't think that's us for now. Note the acceptable risk level as a threat of 1.8 million to 2.2 million, which is a 10% variance. I think that definitely matches up here, and we can potentially go with that. Note the impact as outside the acceptable risk level of $2 million. They're happy to accept it, so I think we're okay there. Note the impact as an opportunity of $200,000 as well, which is 10% again. So no, I think those ones we can discount and get rid of. I think we're going to go with answer B here. All right, good work. Risk appetite describes the level of uncertainty or risk your stakeholders are willing to accept. So they're willing to accept this, and risk threshold is the measure of acceptable variation around an objective that reflects the risk appetite. In this scenario, a 10% variation around 2 million is 1.8 to 2.2 million. And we've got page 54 in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition under risk directly, if you want to check that out for yourself. All right, wow, good one to start with. Risk, it's always going to happen on your project, so that's always good to know. Let's see what we've got next. A risk has been raised, more risk, that's just what we needed. A risk has been raised in your project around insufficient building materials. One risk response assigned to the functional manager suggests to use a brand new material which has not been fully tested before in a building project. So that actually could be even more risky, maybe. So we've got a risk around insufficient building materials, but now we're suggesting a brand new material that hasn't really been tested yet. Half of your stakeholder group are happy with this risk response, but the other half are not and refuse to sign off on it. What will you do next? Okay, if the stakeholders that need to sign off, if we've still got 50% not signing off on it, then we probably can't proceed. So what other options do we have here? Suggest a quantitative risk approach to give a more accurate financial impact. As you will know from our other videos, qualitative risk is our impact and the likelihood of happening, and then we usually multiply those together to get a risk rating, but it's a subjective rating usually. Quantitative is more your in-depth analysis, scenarios and Monte Carlo analysis, that sort of thing. Big simulations and big financial simulations usually as well. Anyway, all of that to say, I don't think we need to do that just yet. Suggest they proceed with the proposed risk response and ensure it is followed through. Well, we can't force it on them because 50% are disagreeing as well. So maybe a no for now. Let's see what else we have just in case. Suggest a different risk owner, as an executive may have more power to respond to the risk. Again, someone could force this through, but if 50% of our stakeholders are disagreeing, there may be a reason for that. And if it's a brand new building material, things could go wrong here. So let's put a no on that one for now as well. Suggest a different risk response, as they should be timely, this sounds promising, timely, cost-effective, realistic, and agreed to by relevant stakeholders. And all those things are for a reason. Cost-effective and realistic I think in this case, and people are disagreeing for that reason. I think let's go with answer D. I really like that one. Okay, excellent. This question refers to risk responses. Risk responses should be appropriate and timely to the significance of the risk, cost-effective, realistic within the project context, agreed to by relevant stakeholders, and owned by a responsible person. D is the best answer. And we've got page 54 in the PMBOK Guide, 7th edition, under risk again, if you want to check that out for yourself. All right, excellent work. More risk. I wonder how much risk we're going to have here. But that was actually very good to know and a good way of managing risk in our project. What have we got next? Your project is starting to go off track due to a large amount of uncertainty in the requirements and resources. And you know what? This will happen all the time in the real world. Sometimes we need to come in here and help manage it. That's why they need us, to help get clarity on that scope and the requirements. And we need to gather that from our stakeholders. At a significant cost, you managed to rein in these issues, okay? However, your project management office would like you to brainstorm ways to improve with your team so that it does not happen again. That makes sense? What will you do next? So we're brainstorming with our team. Okay, what are we going to do here? Ask your team to increase the project contingency reserve to allow for these impacts. I think there's probably a better, is there something around problem solving, I think, is probably what they're asking us. Let's see what else we've got. Let's put it low maybe for now. Ask your team to change the project methodology from waterfall to agile. And you know what, this will happen in the real world as well. People will say, okay, we just need to change the methodology and everything will be solved. Unfortunately, life still happens, and whether you're using waterfall or agile, or either one, we're still going to be faced with a lot of this complexity and uncertainty that we have to manage as project managers with our project management toolkit from the PMBOK Guide. Wonderful, wonderful thing. So I don't think that's our one yet. Ask your team to use short feedback loops, okay? Continuous improvement and transparent planning. Oh, so all of those are agile tools as well. Short feedback loops to get feedback and improve, continuous improvement. Transparent planning so that it's all visible what we're doing, so that everyone can see at any moment whether we're on track or off track and what we're delivering. I think that's actually quite a good one. Unless there's a better one, that might be our one. Ask your team to check their work twice before sending it to the next part of the process. I think that could be one option, but C is definitely a far better option with better things in there as well, and more and better things. So all round, I like that one better. Let's go with answer C. Excellent work, all right. A project team needs to embrace adaptability and resiliency with methods such as using short feedback loops, continuous learning and improvement, regular inspection, which is sort of like this, an adaptation of project work, diverse project teams, transparent planning, using prototypes, and more. All of those are great tools, by the way. So really, really good to use in your own project management career. Page 56 under Embrace Adaptability and Resiliency. So really, really great stuff. All right, how did you go for that one? I think that was quite good. Definitely leaning a bit more agile here as well, which is very nice. Let's see what we've got next. As your project progresses, many of the business stakeholders are starting to voice their concerns, to question some of the changes, and even miss key meetings while trying to sabotage your efforts. What will you do next? I think we had similar ones before, and this is around that engagement, communication, engagement. I think, let's see what we've got. And I can already see communicate here, which is, this could be the one that we're looking for already. Communicate the vision and benefits for the change clearly, along with the impact to their work. So more communication will definitely help, and also listening very clearly to what they need. So communication goes both ways. So that's definitely a high maybe for now. Let's see what else we have. Create an impact over influence chart to determine who should be engaged appropriately. I mean, that's definitely also a good thing, but then it's not going to help with the missing key meetings or, people questioning the changes. I think we need to communicate those things first. So still A for me. Escalate the matter to your project sponsor and arrange for different stakeholders. Again, sometimes we can, but often we can't just replace our stakeholders. They're already embedded in an organization. We have to work with them and do the best we possibly can. So that's a no for now. Map the current state and the proposed future state of the change for the stakeholders. So that's sort of working with them and problem solving with them. But what about all of the other things? So, I think again, that's actually quite a good one, but I still think for engagement, communication is more of the key. Let's try answer A. It's between answer A and D. Let's try A. Okay, good. Yeah, very tricky. Could have been either of those. They're pretty good. This question is on change management, which is a structured approach to transitioning groups to a future state. Too much change or a lack of understanding can lead to resistance and change fatigue. Methods include communicating the vision, goals and benefits of the change early, along with the impact to work processes. So we've got page 59 in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition, enable change to achieve the envisioned future state. Fantastic stuff. And change management has a bit of a bigger place in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition, so it's becoming more prominent in today's projects, which is good. All right, let's see what we've got next, nearly halfway through. You are analysing your stakeholders through an impact over influence chart and have found more than 100 different groups of people and over 3,000 impacted stakeholders. Other parts of your project are starting to fall behind as you try to keep up with a large amount of people. What will you do next? Okay, so lots and lots of stakeholders, lots of groups of people. Some people are falling behind because we're trying to keep up with everyone. Can we prioritize these? So this might be the best way to move forward here, I think. Let's see what options we have. Ask your project team to engage different groups of stakeholders so everyone is covered. Yeah, well, that could potentially work. It's not a specific thing that you'll find, just sort of splitting up the work, but it definitely makes sense. Let's see what else we have just in case. Clearly prioritize the stakeholders. Okay, well, so there's our prioritization. That could be our one. Then engage and communicate with the highly impacted and influential groups early and often. And there's that communication again as well. So, that's probably one of those keys to change management like we were seeing before. That's definitely a good looking answer, that one. We'll see what else we've got just in case. Monitor the stakeholders for signs of stress and respond to the groups most stressed about the project. Wow, that's also quite good. That might fall into like a prioritization method as well. So potentially prioritizing is still our best overall answer with that keyword in there. So let's see what else we've got just in case. Create a SharePoint page for the changes that any stakeholder can gather information from anytime, so they can pull information whenever they need it. Again, that's another really good approach, that one. So we've got lots of good options here, but I think the key word we're looking for is to prioritize these things. So based on that, let's go with answer B. Excellent, all right. This question is about engaging stakeholders. The process includes identify, understand and analyze, prioritize, engage and monitor your stakeholders. Where you have too many to engage effectively, prioritization is the key. Impact and influence are two ways, as well as power, beliefs, expectations, and proximity to the project. Power, interest, and more. So again, you could make up ways or things that fit your circumstances to prioritize. But all of that to say, that still becomes, that's that keyword that we were looking for. And we've got page 11 and 12 under stakeholder engagement and prioritize and engage in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. Wonderful work. And that means we're halfway through this little section as well, which is even better. You're doing great. Keep going, guys. 5 to go if you want to keep continuing with this, and these are just starting to get good, so it's good preparation for your PMP exam. You're managing a project which communicates to the customer using mostly pull communication so far, just like we were talking about before, so that's very timely. When monitoring the engagement of your stakeholders, you notice a trend that they are not clear on the impacts or benefits of the project. Okay. So again, we're seeing lots of communication here, which is really, really good. You decide to add push communication to your communication plan. What will you do next? Oh, well, this seems fairly straightforward. It's basically about what is push communication. So we know what pull communication is. We've got a site where people can get information from anytime they want to. They can pull that information. What is push communication? We're pushing information to them with an email or a meeting or a telephone call, or however we're doing that. We're pushing it out to them. They don't have a choice whether they get that information or not. Let's see what we've got. Create a web page using SharePoint with all the project information that your stakeholders can see. That's pull information. Push more funding for your project, on your project, and communicate this to the project sponsor. While the keywords are right, the sentence doesn't really make sense. So we don't really need more funding for this, and we don't need to communicate it to our project sponsor either. So let's put a no for that one for now. Push your stakeholders to engage in more two-way communication. Again, we've got the keywords here, push your stakeholders, but it's not quite right, is it? Two-way communication, again, sounds good, but doesn't really fit. I hope D works for us because we're running out of options here. Send a weekly email to stakeholders with a project update, including the impacts and benefits. Well, that sounds really, really good. And also it's the sending that we're doing. We're pushing that email out into the world. That's definitely the one. Let's go with answer D. Excellent work, all right. Push communication is sent to stakeholders using memos, emails, status reports, voicemail, and more. Pull communication is something a customer can pull at any time from a bulletin, a web page, a whiteboard, anything visual as well. So that's that visual management that you'll see in Agile. Page 13 in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition, types of communication. Excellent. All right, we are really getting through these. You're doing a great job. And such a wide range of topics as well. Really, really relevant for your project career. This is good stuff. Okay, what have we got next? You have taken over on a project with a vendor where scope and requirements have been missed. Okay, you notice that miscommunication and mixed messages are common. You set a meeting with your team and the vendor's team. The meeting is extremely important to get right. What will you do next? Okay, so this is more about communication again. Very good stuff. Speak slowly and clearly with the vendor's team at a louder volume if necessary. Okay. And I mean, we've all been there. We've all seen that happen. Surely, we haven't done it ourselves, of course. But if someone doesn't understand us when we're speaking at a louder volume, as if that's going to help them understand the words themselves. So maybe a little bit of fun. Probably a no for now, unless it's the only option left, of course. Confirm they hear your message. Oh, this is good. Confirm they hear your message. Determine if they agree, so we get that feedback loop. Are they hearing a message? Are they agreeing? And identify nuanced or unintended messages that they may have received. Oh, I love that. And that's very big on a communication style and communication process. So we're getting feedback. We're saying, hey, this is the way I see it. Do you see it the same way? Or do you agree with this? Is there anything that I'm missing here? And through doing that, we flesh out all of those unintended messages and we determine if they truly do agree or not. I think this is a wonderful answer. Let's see what else we've got just in case. Only communicate with the vendor in writing, so you have a trail of proof if anything goes wrong in the future. Potentially, however, here's where this won't work, because you've probably heard that most of communication is visible. So it's like 90% of communication is when you're speaking and you can see the people and you can hear the voice as well. So if we're taking out all of those things and just giving them the words in writing, there's actually more, that it can actually be misinterpreted a lot more easily. And you've probably had that happen to yourself where you've sent an email and you thought it was fine, and someone has received that email and read it, and they've read in some sort of, some innuendo or some sort of, maybe they think that you're being snarky when you're not actually, because that's the way that they've read it. So anyway, all of that to say, I think writing sounds good, but you're taking away all of that extra stuff that you need to communicate with, like seeing people, the body language, the tonality, all of those things are very important. So that's a no for now. Prepare a claim for the mishandled scope of your project through the procurement team. I think if we can work on the communication first with our meeting, I think that's probably our best case. Let's go with answer B. Excellent work, all right. This question is asking about communication. With all forms of communication, quick feedback loops provide the information you need by confirming they heard the message, determining if they agree, and identifying any nuances or additions to the message that they may have added or heard themselves. Page 13, stakeholder engagement, engage in the PMBOK Guide's 7th edition. So that's really, really good. How did you guys go for that one? Some really good tips in there as well. So really, really good for your own PMP exam. And also, we're down to the last 3 questions in this section. You're doing really, really great. Keep going, guys. Your stakeholders seem to be engaged. However, there are frequent changes to scope and requirements, causing delays. Issues are often raised and result in multiple rounds of feedback. You're not sure who or what could be the cause. What will you do next? Okay, so we've got a lot of issues, but we don't know who or what is the cause of these issues. I think let's see what options we have. Perform root cause analysis with your project team on the problem to brainstorm ideas. Sure, that's pretty good. We'll put that as a maybe for now. Raise a risk in the risk register for the project delay and review responses with your team. I don't think that's related to what we're after at all. So let's put that as a no. It's not a risk. We're looking at issues and we need to know who or what is the cause. So we've got root cause analysis. That certainly fits. What else have we got though? Review the issue log, the risk register, and the change log for the most frequent requesters. Then update your stakeholder engagement approach for those people. Wow, whoa, okay, that's deep. Okay, and again, it comes down to communication. Funny that, so we're obviously needing to communicate a lot on our projects. That's a good tip for us. This really does make sense. We're sort of delving straight into this. This takes A to a new level. We're looking at the issue log, risk register, change log for the people who are requesting it, so the who, and then we're updating the engagement approach. So can we engage with those people more, get that two-way feedback, get information from them, give information about the project to them so that they're more on board with the project. Maybe we are genuinely missing something and they really need to be in our stakeholder engagement approach, engaging more often. I think this is actually a pretty good one. Let's see the last one just in case. Ensure your project budget has enough contingency reserves to meet the multiple reviews and delays. That's a good practice, but again, how can we manage that without just throwing money at it? Can we actually rein it in without spending money on it first? Let's go with answer C based on all of that information. Okay, excellent. A significant number of changes or modifications to the project, requirements, or scope may indicate stakeholders are not engaged or aligned with the project objectives. And again, it comes down to that engagement. A review of the project issue register or risk register can identify challenges associated with individual stakeholders. So is it all coming from Billy over here? Is he the one who's just being loud and wanting changes and trying to slow things down? Or is he genuinely concerned and we've genuinely missed information from him? Do we even need to engage Billy? Can we work with that? And if we do, we need to do it more often because it's all coming from this area. So good information to be aware of here. Really, really good stuff. Page 15, under checking outcomes, stakeholder performance in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. Wonderful stuff. All right, we're down to the last 2 questions. You're doing great. Let's get into this. You've been working on a project where the manager leads in a dictatorship style. Over time, the team have stopped making suggestions. Sick days and mental health days have become more frequent, and the pace of work has slowed, which typically does happen in a dictatorship style. It can work for a little while, but then over time, the team becomes disengaged. The manager comes to you for help. You suggest a servant leadership style instead. What will they do next? Okay, this seems pretty straightforward because we're probably just talking about a servant leadership style. What does that involve? And I think I've got some ideas here. You probably do as well. You might beat me to this one. So serve the team as much as they can, ensuring their every need is met. And that sounds good, but that's not the case because we're serving them by helping them grow and removing the blockers to their work. So we don't need to make sure that every need is met. They need to take responsibility for their lives as well. So while that sounds good, it's not actually our one. Focus on obstacle removal, encouragement and development opportunities. That's removing blockers and growing our team. Probably that's a really good one. Ensure the team are serving other team members and helping each other succeed. That's also a good practice, but not typically servant leadership specifically. This is more removing blockers, growing, that sort of thing. Serve the team new ways to do the work and engage them through additional variety. Again, we've got the right keywords in there, but it doesn't quite make sense with what we're after. So I think all in all, let's go with answer B. Excellent work, all right. Servant leaders allow project teams to self-organize when possible and increase levels of autonomy, so they have power over how they do the work, by passing appropriate decision-making opportunities to project team members. Servant leadership behaviors also include obstacle removal, being a diversion shield, so shielding them from other requests outside of the team, and development opportunities, helping them grow and make progress in their careers. And there it is, page 18, Distributed Management and Leadership in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. Wonderful stuff. And also, we're up to the last question. You've done really, really well, guys. This is it. So, you can take a break after this, but you've done just such a wonderful job. Let's see what this one is. You have been allocated to a new project team with members from different parts of the functional business area. It soon becomes clear that very few of them have worked on a project before. There is a lot of miscommunication and rework is occurring amongst the team, which is starting to cause delays. What will you do next? Okay, and again, this is one of those things that we'll see all the time in your own project career. Set a daily stand-up with your team to ensure they update what they completed. I mean, that probably could help. Review the resource assignment matrix with your team to ensure they are doing their job. I mean, that also could help. I have a feeling there's a better option here, maybe around clarity, of the role or something similar. Help the team set their vision and objectives, roles and responsibilities, here we are, and team operations. Usually done through a team charter, as we have seen. So that is something really, really good to do at any stage in your project as well. So really, really good to go through those things. Send your team members on training in their roles to increase their capability. So again, these three are all really, really good options, but the best option, again, from an agile perspective, or even from a leadership perspective, vision, setting the roles and responsibilities, getting clarity for your team, helping the team operations and how we operate and escalate things. Let's go with answer C for all of that. And there it is. When project teams form across different organizations, more work may be required up front to establish a one-team mindset, ensuring everyone understands how they contribute. Team development, such as establishing a vision, clear roles and responsibilities, and a way of working are key. Page 18, under common aspects of team development. And you made it. That's the last of this 10-question set. And of course, there are many, many more to come if you want to continue. And I truly believe that you can pass the PMP exam with all of the wonderful preparation that you're doing. Keep going. I really do believe in you. I know it can seem challenging and difficult at times, but if you keep going and keep learning every single day, I truly believe that you can do it. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.